give you 1 more minute for everyone to finish. Lorraine, if you can add the paper clips with each limiting belief.
Adding the paper clips is an amazing metaphor for kids because they really see their limiting belief in front of them, so it becomes real. And sometimes by the end of the session, they remove some paper clips because they think that the limiting belief is become more diluted. It's not as strong as before. Okay, so if you think about the table with the legs, right? So it's basically like they removed some legs from the table. So it's the same thing.
Let's try our planes again. If you can come here again to try and see how when it's heavy, it will not fly as when it was out of limiting beliefs. It's so funny when you see the kids putting the paper clips, because each one of them will start thinking, where would I put it so it will still go far. So he's like, I'm going to put it on the wings or in the front. I like it, the way of their thinking. Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Oh.
It went farther. keep them there.
Did it fly last much when it was like Thank you, Lubna. Thank you.
So this is one of the problems that we face sometimes, that the plane goes further when the paper clips are on. So we have to tell them where to put the paper clips, like either put it on the wings or put it in the back, so it makes it heavier.
In our approach, Dana mentioned at the beginning of the workshop that we're going to talk about the BASE methodology that we developed at ICANN. And we're going to talk in details about each one of them to show you what approach we use with the kids. Okay, the sequence can be different sometimes, but there are basic things that needs to be there. Okay, so we at ICANN, we approach kids as a whole, creative, resourceful. They know very well that the agenda is theirs. Our job as coaches is to direct them and give them the strategies to move forward. Our job is to help them change their mindset. So we give them the skill and they go apply it. If we give them the skills and they don't apply it, it's not going to work. Right? So they need to take the skill, understand it, and go apply it in their daily life. So our homework that we give our kids usually is not written homework, but rather things that they need to do in their community or in their school. So we're going to talk about the first thing, and that without it, we can't start coaching kids. And that's it, building rapport. The superpower of Dimitra. Dimitra said that her superpower is that she feels that she's friends with kids, so she builds rapport easily. And this is the key to success to our coaching, or every coaching, even with adults. When we deal with kids, we just see them little ones walking around us, but we need to always think that they're humans. They think the same way we think. So whatever you want people to deal with you, you need to deal with that kid. Okay? So building rapport may not be easy sometimes. It can be difficult sometimes, especially with specific kids. But once you build it, you can get anything you want from the kid. Building rapport help build the trust, help facilitate the conversation with the kid. Before we teach kids, before we get the kids, it's very important for us as coaches also to do our homework and know more about the kid. Okay, if the kid comes, the mom calls us and says, okay, he's coming tomorrow, okay. We did not ask about the name, the grade, his hobbies and interests, his siblings, his family atmosphere. And then he comes in and we start asking him questions. How would you feel if this happened to you, Jumana? I will refuse to answer, exactly. You will say, who's that person who's asking me these questions? Okay? So we need to do our homework very well, know about him, about his interests and hobbies, welcome him at the door. This is the core of the coaching, or in building rapport with any person in your life. Okay? So when we sit with him and tell him exactly what we do, because sometimes parents send the kids to us, and I told him, okay, what did your mom tell you I do? And he said nothing. She just dropped me. Okay? So it's our job as coaches to tell them what we do exactly. We're not psychologists, we're not doctors, we're not psychiatrists, okay? We're here to help and give you skills and have fun together and learn together, okay? So building rapport is important. What we can do, and the one important thing that we need to remember is to make this kid feel he's important. Once he feels he's important, he will give you anything. If you ask for his advice, he will feel important. If you ask for his help, he will feel important. Even if you ask him to shift the slides, anything, just give him anything, and you will see him just giving you answers, the answers that you want to hear. Okay? So building rapport is number one. We're going to talk now more about other techniques in building rapport. We're going to start with matching and mirroring. We talked about this. It builds trust, it facilitates conversation. Now, one important thing that I did not mention, in the matching and mirroring, Dana, please, the other slide, here. Rapport. Believe it or not, research has found this, that building rapport with a person in front of you, either a kid or an adult, or whatever, lady, man, anything. Only 7% is affected by your words, 38% is affected by your tone, and 55% is affected by your body language. Okay? So this gives us an indication how much our body language is important and effective in our relations with anyone, with our bosses. Okay? We need to be very smart in dealing with our bosses, because you can get whatever you want if you follow what I'm going to talk about now. Okay? So we're going to start with matching and mirroring. It's a very simple technique. Some of you or all of you may use it, but you don't know that it's really a technique, a scientific technique that we use. Matching and mirroring. Matching means that you match the body of the person in front of you. You match it. For example, if Jumana's putting her legs, she's crossing her legs, I will sit and cross my legs. She's sitting and bending her body, I will bend my body. Okay? She's breathing slowly, I will breathe slowly. Okay? Because it's contagious. I smile, she will start smiling. Okay? The minute you see that your client or your child is matching you, it means that you build the rapport. You build the rapport. Okay? And you can try it. And sometimes I try it, and it's so funny. Okay? Once I feel that he's listening to me now, I start matching his movements, his facial expressions. Okay? And then I start to change, and he will start following me and doing what I'm doing. I know 100% that the rapport is built. Okay? So, mirroring is that you mirror the person in front of you. He's crossing his legs right to left, I cross them left to right. Okay? He's sitting like this, I sit like this. Okay? So matching and mirroring is not only with body, it's also with tonality. Okay? The way I talk, the volume of my tone, it needs to match his tone. Now, some of you may feel that it's hard, but actually it comes without even us feeling that we're doing it. Okay, but with practice we become better and better in that. Okay? And language. Now, language can be the hardest of them, because when we work with kids, and it will help the teachers here, okay, Florine, Jill, and Rina, that what we do with the kids, we give them an assessment, very short assessment, okay, about their learning style. Okay? If we discover that this child is a visual child, okay, we base our language with him on visual. Do you see what I mean? Do you see what I mean? If the assessment shows that this boy is auditory learner And some auditory learners, sometimes they read a book and the teacher tells them, look at me at the board. And he's like, miss, I can't hear you. He's auditory. He can just depend on his hearing. And I would end the sentence with, sounds good? Okay? So it needs practice, but it worked like a magic. Okay? So if the boy is very emotional, okay, I'm like, do you feel what I'm saying, for example? So it depends upon each one. This takes some time, and it does need practice. I'm visual. If anybody tells me, do you see what I mean? I see what he means. I have a picture in my mind directly about what he means. Dana is auditory, for example. The first thing is auditory. So the way she, for example, and we were discussing it, the way she prepared for the presentation is different than the way I prepared for the presentation. I depend a lot on pictures. She depends on writing and hearing. Kinesthetic are people or students who face the most challenges in the classroom. Because teachers or schools do not understand that this kid, the best way for him to learn is by moving, okay? And rocking the chair and moving his hand or moving his leg, okay? Or walking in the class. That's why we recommend always for these kids to sit in the back of the class or to give them some things to release their energy. Okay, sometimes they put a rubber band at the chair in front of the student, so he just keep pushing the rubber band, okay? Or a stress ball. Some of them feel it's hard because they may throw it on others. But kinesthetic people are really very smart, but they're not very well understood by the teachers, unfortunately. And you know all the schools. Yeah, in all the schools, the number of kids are getting bigger and bigger, so the teacher don't have time or patience. The same in every school. You hear it in every school. That's why we deal with teachers. When we show them that this child learn in this way, it's an eye-opener for the teacher to know that maybe I need to do some accommodations to accommodate this kid in my class. Okay?
I just want to add something also on this, is that also the child himself, when he understands what type of learner he is, then he's more able to deal with his movement, for example, or the way he learns. So, for example, kinesthetic kids, when they understand that about themselves, what they do is they start figuring out ways to calm themselves down in the class or release their energy by, holding something or touching something. So instead of thinking, something is wrong with me, okay? Because this is where kids come from. When they deal with challenges, the first thing that crosses their mind is something is wrong with me. I'm not normal, okay?
Now, one thing we can do as coaches or as teachers is to expand their learning style. So if he's kinesthetic, it's okay that we as coaches or teachers as teachers to start helping him jump outside his comfort zone and use different techniques for different learning styles, okay, gradually, one by one. So the kinesthetic person, because they face the most troubles in school, we can start gradually integrating some visual learning style assessments or tools for them to start using. So they are not framed, oh, I'm a kinesthetic learner, I can't concentrate, I need to move in class. Because it's not allowed, it's just not allowed. So our job is to start expanding their learning style. Pacing and leading. Pacing, it's very simple. I'm going to go through it really fast. Pacing is to maintain the rapport. You build a rapport, okay? So I come in, okay? I have a rapport with you. And I tell you, or you know me, okay? So I tell you, wow, I can see that you woke up early today, it's a weekend, and you woke up early to come attend the workshop. Okay, so it's a true fact. Okay, and then I say another true fact. I even can see that some of you did not have breakfast yet. It's a true fact. Then I lead. Okay, let's concentrate now to the lesson. Oh, let's start our session so we can finish early. So once you say truthful facts to the child, he's yours. Then you can lead him to whatever you want. Tell him 2 or 3 truthful facts about the situation now. Or for example, I can see that you don't want to miss the soccer practice today. So you know, for example, that every week after your session, he has a school soccer practice. Oh, I can see that you don't want to miss it. Yes, miss, I don't want to miss it. Okay, let's finish so you don't miss it. Tell him something true and lead him, okay? This is all NLP techniques. Brilliant, magic. Okay, Dana, the next slide, please. Pre-framing. This is a brilliant NLP technique that can be used with any person you deal with in your life, with your husbands also, okay? Pre-framing, okay, in a very simple way, is framing the experience before it happens. For example, I come in, I tell you, what I'm gonna discuss with you today is really easy to grasp. So I indirectly give you an idea that it's really easy to grasp. So you start preparing yourself on the chair. Or, I did not have the chance to work with well-behaved kids before. So I'm giving him an indirect message that he's well-behaved, right? Or, how would you like to learn a cool trick that will help you change your mindset? Okay? And then, and it's nice when you start practicing this and you start observing their body on the chair and the light in their eyes, okay? And the movement that they do when you tell them these things. I'm gonna tell you something now, it will change your mindset and the way you think. So you're giving him the attention, you're giving him all the attention he wants to listen to you. Just start with a simple thing, especially with our kids sometimes, and with our teenagers. Give them something indirect, because when we tell our kids, you're really smart, if he doesn't feel that he's really smart, he will not even get bothered about it, okay? But when you tell him, you know, what I talked with you about it now, only smart kids understand it. So he will get it. Okay, only smart kid, then I'm smart. Okay? So these all are stored in the unconscious. The more we use pre-framing with our kids, with our coworkers, with our bosses, with our husbands and wives, we can, it works like magic, and we can get whatever we want from them. Okay? Great. This is pre-framing. And the last one is active listening, I believe, Dana, active listening. This is very important. We're going to talk about the first part of it now, and Dana will continue the next part. Active listening. When we say active listening, is listening with your whole body. Okay? So my girl came from school. She's not feeling well. How are you, Mama اليوم? I'm good. How good? I'm good. It's okay. But I can feel her body is not good. Her eyes are down. She's heavy while walking, for example. She wanted to sleep after coming from school. She didn't want to eat, for example. I need to listen what's said and what's not said. Okay? There's a proverb that they use. I don't have the specific wording for it, but it says, hear with your eyes and see with your ears. So you need to work with all your senses to understand the person in front of you, okay? And there are 5 levels when we use the active listening with any person that we deal with. There are 5 levels that we need to be aware of and concentrate on. And when we hear well, and when we use the effective listening skills, we know exactly what are the skills that we need to work with kids. And this needs practice. Some parents, when we do workshops with them, or some teachers feel confused about it, but don't worry about it. We're going to discuss it with you now and explain it with you. Okay, so we're going to use the example that Florine used at the beginning of the workshop. The kids come, and most of what they're saying every day, I can't do this. I can't do this. It's easy, right? I can't do this. So they give up, so you do it for them, and it's done. But the kids don't come and tell it in this way. The boy or the child will not come and say, I don't know how to do it. the tone will not be like this. Okay? He will stress on the part that he lacks the most. And he will stress in his way on the part, the level that we need to work on him the most. Most of the kids fall in this level, the abilities. And it's related to the beliefs that Dana mentioned now. So if the child comes and say, I cannot do it here, okay, and he's stressed, okay, then the problem is related, or the challenge is related to his identity. We need to work with him on self-worth and self-confidence, okay? If you say, I cannot, then it's his belief that's built that he cannot do things, okay? So when I used to talk about math, I cannot. I don't have the ability, and I believe that I'm not good in math. When he stress on the do, the action, okay, then it's related to his abilities, what I can do and what I cannot do, okay? The behavior and the environment, because sometimes we do need to change the environment. Last Wednesday, I told you I was coaching a kid. He used to come to me to Kids HQ. The kid is kinesthetic learner. He just can't sit. He's such a smart boy, but he cannot sit. He has a lot of trouble in school with teachers, with admin. His mom is always in the school. They're complaining about him. It's horrible. So I asked him, where do you want? I gave him an activity, and then he's like, Ms. Ruwan, can I stand when I do the activity? I said, you can stand whenever you want. If you want to listen to the story when you stand up, do it. Do you want to run? Go run and come back, whatever, and we're done with the class. And then I told him, you know what? Next time we're not doing it here. We're doing it in Barsha Park. So last Wednesday, I was in Barsha Park. At 5, we did it. I saw the glow in his eyes. He listened to the story without interruption. He did the activities. And he asked me at the end, are we going to go back to that room or are we going to do it here? He's 8. And I said, we're going to do it here. And he started jumping. So the environment needs to change sometimes, right? For example, we don't do coaching for kids in this center. It doesn't belong to kids. It's so quiet. We do it only for adults. It doesn't work for kids. They get so bored. Okay? So Dana will continue now. These are the techniques, the NLP techniques. One of the most important techniques that we can use with kids. It grows by practice. The more we practice them, the more we master them. Okay? We're going to talk also in more details in our next program. Dana will talk with us about asking questions now, and it's very exciting.
So asking questions. The most important thing in coaching adults and kids alike is asking the right questions, okay? So the way we deal with kids is we need to know more about them by getting more inside their head and understanding how they think. And we can only do this by asking the right questions, okay? The thing is, it's not an interrogation. So we don't want to, put them there and tell me about your life. It's not an interrogation. It's more like a curious conversation with them. So if a child comes in and he goes, I'm having trouble with work or with school, I would say to him, where specifically do you have the problem? Which area in school do you have the problem with? So we're trying to understand more and more details about what they're going through, their challenges, okay? So this is what asking questions is all about. We use, next slide. Oh. So when you ask questions, you use a lot of where, what, who, when, why. The most powerful one is what, okay? So the what questions are usually the most powerful because they take us directly to what we want to know, okay? And I'll explain further how that works. We use a model called GOAL. Okay, so we use a model called GROW. Okay? And grow is about goals. So the questions can be about goals, or they can be about reality, their reality. Or it can be about options. What options do they have to solve their problem? Or it can be about will. When will they do it? Okay, so future. And this model, you can use it throughout the coaching process. You can use it, you can start with any one of them. So you can start with reality, for example, when the child comes in and says, I cannot do this here. Okay, so it's about not knowing how to do something in that specific time. Or it could be about a goal. I would like to be selected for the swim squad, for example. So it's a goal that they want. And we frame their questions based on on what they come up with, and we ask the right questions. So for example, with goals, we can ask something that, where do you want to go? For example, if they have a goal, where do you want to go? What will that get you? If they have, or what is your goal? If they have a reality expectation, or they state something as a reality to them, we can ask something like, what is your current situation? Where are you now? Okay. If it's about options, what are your options? And if it's about will, we can ask them, what will you do then? Okay. So we base all the questions on this model. Next slide. Now we're going to look at a video, okay, about a mother who coached her child by asking questions into developing a successful business. I would like you to just pay attention to the questions that she asked, or the directions that she led her daughter to go to, okay? And I would like you to write them down as you hear them, and we will discuss them later. And we will also discuss the skills that she helped her child develop, okay? So maybe...
ฉันไม่ได้เรียนหนังสือไม่รู้ว่าต้องพูดต้องสอนแบบไหนฉันรู้แค่ว่าต้องทำให้ดูให้เขาเห็นเป็นตัวอย่าง นี้ฉันสบายใจแล้ว ที่เห็นเขาทำได้แบบนี้ และมั่นใจว่า วันข้างหน้าถ้าไม่มีฉัน เขาจะอยู่ได้ด้วยตัวเขาเอง
อัชราภูสวัสดิ์ได้รับทุนจากโครงการสามรักจนจบปริญญาตรีปี2000
So how was that? So did the mother tell her child what to do? No.
In a way.
She led her to discover what to do. Yes, she led her. And this is exactly what we do as life coaches for kids. We lead them to discover their potential. Okay? We don't tell them what to do because it has to be their own answers. It has to be their own solution. We just lead them to it. And asking questions is the way that we lead kids to discover their potential. So, for example, if we go back to that example that Rowan talked about, I can't do this here. Okay, and if we listen actively to what the child is saying, then we can ask the right questions. So, for example, if it's identity challenge or identity problem, then we can ask, what can you do? What if you could? Okay, do you need support? Okay, because if a child doesn't know and feels that he is not able to do it as a person, then we can ask these questions and they will tell you. Because sometimes, like when my kids do math, for example, they say, oh, I can't do it. And I say, do you need help or do you need support? And then they say yes. And they end up doing it anyway, but with me sitting next to them.
You end up doing it.
No, I don't do it. I don't do it. I just sometimes sit next to them and they feel the support by me sitting next to them. Okay? When we talk about I can't, which is a belief, what's stopping you? Okay? When we ask what's stopping you, it really helps kids discover where the problem. They have to think about it. Okay? They have to find a solution. When it's about capabilities and we ask them something like, how can you do it? Or what additional skills do you need? Okay? And when it's that, I can't do that, what would you like to do first? So a lot of kids come to us and they say, I don't like homework, right? Most kids do that. Okay? And when you sit with them and you say, what don't you like about homework? Then they're able to tell you that it takes too long or it's too difficult. Then you understand how their mind works. You understand where the problem lies. Because I don't like homework, it could be, from our perspective, the child is lazy, he doesn't want to do it, he just wants to go play iPad. You know, there's a lot that we think about, but it's our beliefs. We have to go into their own beliefs and what's stopping them. Okay? Here, the environment, where would you like to do that? So it's sometimes the child doesn't want to do in that specific place. If you change the place, like Rowan said, then it makes all the difference. And these are magical questions because they tackle the unconscious mind. They go directly to the belief system and the unconscious mind. They don't give us what we want to hear, but it's always what they feel. Okay? So we go inside their head, we understand how they feel.
If you observe the questions, nothing starts with why. Because as soon as you ask the child why, he feels that he's investigated. He needs to give a reason why. So see what?
How?
What and how, very powerful. But why, even us? If somebody come and ask you why, and as soon as he say why, you start thinking, oh my God, I need to justify why I did that or why I said that.
So another way we use questions to tackle an issue or a challenge with a child is to turn it or flip it from a problem to a solution. Okay? So to flip, if they say, for example, I can't do this, we start asking them questions to move them to a solution mindset. Okay? So let's go through this example. What specifically can't you do? Okay, I can't do this. What specifically then? So there they will pinpoint what they cannot do. What is stopping you? Okay? And then you flip it because once they tell you what's stopping them, then you can move to the solution part. And then you can say, what needs to happen for you to do that report? Okay? And if you could do that report, how would you do it? Okay? And then maybe you can move into the will as well. So when do you want to do the report by, and when will you finish it by, or so future pacing. Okay. Now, we're going to practice this a little bit. So before we go to Ruwan, we will practice this. I will give you an example, and then maybe you can give me questions. I don't have friends. What's the first question you would ask? There's no right or wrong.
Why do you
Just-
think you don't have friends? Or how come?
How did you know?
How did you know?
What was your question for me?
Why do you think you don't have friends?
Because probably it goes back to her beliefs that she doesn't have friends.
I would say so. Immediately, this would be my reply. I don't have friends, so.
So what can you do about it?
Yes.
So what can you do about it?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
Because if she says, I don't have friends, and we tell her, okay, go make friends, we're helping her to keep thinking that she's a victim. I don't have friends. I will take the back seat and just wait for friends to come to me. So what can you do? Why do you think you can't? Yeah.
Okay. So how do you know that you don't have friends is a very good question. Okay. Because they will go back to their beliefs or to their vision of the world. Okay. And then they will start thinking, okay, I don't have friends because, 1, nobody talks to me. 2, people are mean to me. 3, so they will have, and all those limiting beliefs come up. Okay, and then we start working on those limiting beliefs. Okay, so the idea behind those questioning is to figure out what's behind it. Where does it come from? Because I don't have friends, although it sounds like a limiting belief, there's more deeper limiting beliefs behind it. Okay, and that's what we want to tackle. We want to go deeper in the person and find out what those limiting beliefs are. Another example would be, I don't like homework. What's the first question you can ask when someone says, I don't like homework?
the common
I would say you should do homework.
What specifically you don't like about it? Yeah.
What specifically don't you like about homework? Okay? And what's after that?
What do you want to do?
If a child says, I don't like, and you ask what specifically don't you like about homework, and they said it's too hard, what's the next question that you would ask?
Which part? Too hard? What do you
Which part? Which part is hard?
Maybe I would offer help. Can I do something? Anything about it? To help you? Let's check if it's hard.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong and right about it, but you can just follow a sequence in your head just to take it to make the problem more specific. The more specific you are in identifying the problem, the more successful you become in helping the child.
Yeah. So you have to also listen and go back to the previous slide where we listen to exactly, is it identity, is it belief, is it capability, and that's how you try to solve it.
Or maybe is it they want to do other things sometimes? Just play
Yeah.
or do other things.
Yeah.
rather than
In that
sit
case,
and-
sometimes they tell you it takes too long. Okay? Okay?
Then
So
you
it
can
takes
say
too
let's
long.
do it together, then it will go faster.
Yeah.
Exactly.
If you give them solutions, then it's not their solution, it's your solution. So you have to say, okay, if it takes too long, how do you think we can make it shorter? Okay, so they start giving you options, and then you're here. So what options? How can we make it shorter? And then they say, we can, do this thing now, and then another thing tomorrow. Then they give you options.
Or maybe I would offer them, if you like to go out or do things, let's just do it earlier and finish.
Yeah,
quickly.
this is pre-framing.
So what can you use exactly? What technique can you use from the one I mentioned?
Would you like to do something later on this afternoon? Or
Okay. If you would use the pacing and leading, what would you do? What would you tell her? She's playing.
Yeah.
Okay, what
Then
would you tell
The
her?
choice is hers. We're planning to do something this afternoon, for example, and it's up to you. This needs to be done before we go.
That sounds like a threat.
This is exactly.
So it has to
Pacing
be
and
very
leading.
careful because there's a fine line between threatening and pacing and leading. Okay, there's a fine line.
It's hard homework or it's not too fun to do.
So
homework.
truthful fact, yeah, truthful fact,
But then
pacing and
whenever
leading.
you're done, you can go do whatever you like.
Exactly. So we pace, we give them truthful facts about the situation, then we lead them. It's hard, it takes time, right? So she will say yes, you will take a yes from her. Yeah, it's really hard. Okay, and then you can lead her. When you pace with her and she understands that you're understanding her point of view, you can, okay, let's do it so you don't miss your ballet or your gymnase. Or,
Then here you can tell her that I can support.
I can suffer, yeah.
Yeah.
Then you're also like rewarding them.
If we're saying it in a negative way, we're threatening them. But if we say it in a positive
Yeah,
way,
but if you do it in a way that they get the feeling you understand them, so it's like
Yes,
it's
yes,
better.
yeah.
Then after you can do this,
exactly.
Yes,
you're rewarding
yes.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah, because people respond better to understanding rather than threatening. If they see, like even if it's according to you it's negative, but when you say to them, I know you find it annoying, or I know you find it hard, or I know it takes a long time, okay? Or I know that you find that it takes a long time, but then it's then you can move them forward.
If he this afternoon, that's fine. If he tells me I don't like to do homeworks, and then I reply, but not everything you should like to do. Sometimes it's we have to do it. Which frame I'm putting? Which frame?
This is you're teaching him self-responsibility, basically, and it's a sentence that we all use with our
This
kids.
is not.
True, yeah, because there are things in life that we need to do, but we don't want to do. Like waking up at 6. Who wants to wake up at 6? We have to. We don't want to, but we have to.
Yeah.
But even if after that there is a reward, like taking them somewhere, or there is a fun thing is happening after that, is it like threatening? Do you put it in this phrase, like threatening them if you say, okay, fine, we can do this, but your homework needs to be done?
Yes, you can
Is
do this.
Threatening.
No, you can do this. For example, I want to go visit my friend. Yeah, sure, you can. After you do your homework.
Yes, this is what I'm
That's it. Yeah. But without telling them, if you don't do your homework, you will not go. This is a totally different story. This is a totally different story. If we put the negative in the sentence, then it's negative.
Yeah.
So we turn it to positive.
positive.
Always turn your don'ts into do's.
Do's. Okay.
Okay. Skill development. So after we build rapport and we do the session, answer the question, we're going to go now thoroughly through the session, how it goes. We start teaching them the skill and the concept of the skill. Because what we do, as we said, is that we give them skill set to use in different situations. Okay, we give them leadership skills to be the leaders of their life. We always tell them, you're the boss of you. In order for you to be the boss of you, you need to decide what to do in specific time. Instead of everybody telling you what to do, you need to do it based on your values and your supportive beliefs that you hold with you. Okay, so what we teach kids, many skills that we're going to go thoroughly through them now. We teach them how to understand their mind. We teach them a very important skills, how to step outside the comfort zone. Because many kids take it as an excuse. I don't know how to sing. I'm afraid to speak in public. I don't want to go to my new friend. I don't know her. So we teach them how to step outside the comfort zone. We teach them the inner abilities and inner skills like self-respect, respect, integrity, self-responsibility, the one we mentioned now. We teach them how to set goals for themselves, how to use affirmations positive affirmations to themselves, and how to use visualization to see their success in the future. Very important skills we teach them also is how to manage their anger. And this is very important because kids don't know how to manage their anger. They feel, because the role models in their life mostly yell and scream and hit if they get anger, so they take it as a role model, and they feel that this is the right thing to deal with my issue or my anger. So we teach them how to manage their fear, overcome mistakes. Many kids feel guilty because they did a mistake, because in some families mistakes are not allowed. So we give them the skill set on how to think in order for you to just learn from the mistakes and let it go. Okay, we do fun activities with them. So it's not only lecturing, there's fun activities, there's storytelling, and then we ask them to go and apply it during the week before the coming session. So now, what we're going to do with you, we're going to do an activity. You can do it individually, and then we will discuss it. We will give you, we all want to help a bullied child. A child comes to you and he is bullied, okay? Go through the schedule, look at the skills, and see what skill would you help him with. Set of skills, not only one skills. Usually our sessions vary between 6, 8, 10, sometimes 12 sessions. So we covered all the skills that he needs in order to face the bullies in his life or in the school. So a bullied child comes to you. Please mark it with an X. What skill, what set of skills would you teach him? There's no right and wrong. Just answer based on your understanding in the workshop today, and then we will discuss. Okay, so yeah, it goes this way. You choose, what's the problem? He's bullied. And what do you think the kid who is bullied is facing? What challenges is he facing? If you look at the pink row, there's a bullied child somewhere here. Being bullied, number 5 or 6. And go in that row and tick the skills that you think you need to cover with him or her. Yeah. It would be good if you have a child in mind that you can picture him and see what does he lack or what does she lack. He's bullied or she's bullied. What do they lack? How can I work with them? And you can just tick it on the same paper.
They can use siblings, right?
Yeah, definitely. With anyone. Anybody can be a bully, unfortunately. So we need to prepare them how to face any bully in their life. Please serve yourself coffee. We're heating the water. The kettle sound is really loud, so I turned it off.
We ask parents to explain what the child is like at home, what their hobbies are, how they act. So we get some sort of a full picture of what the child is like, and then we start putting down their proposal or the proposal that we want to give to the parents. So having someone in mind is very important. Okay, so if you can continue.
Yeah, as mentioned, respect others, you know, making decisions, peer pressure, self-esteem, self-confidence,
Yes.
self-talk, anger management, social communication skills, managing mistakes. And accepting change.
Very good.
Long program.
Yeah, long program.
Yeah.
Bullying is a serious issue.
It is.
So we need to tackle the roots of it.
It is.
And in order to do that, probably the program will be the longest when the child is bullied, because he lacks many skills and how to deal with himself, accept himself, respect himself, and how to deal with that.
That's
Yeah. The problem with bullying also is that parents always blame the others first. And that's why we also, when we have a bullied child, we have to explain to the parents that why does your child get bullied and others don't? What skills does your child doesn't have that others do? Okay, so when you explain it to them in that way, they understand a bit more, because it's all about us. It all starts with us. What belief systems we create in our life affects our reality. Okay. Okay.
Okay. Anybody wants to share his same? Okay. Now, for some reason, the laptop turns off. So Dana will use hers. But anyway, it has a nice visual explanation to what we do in our sessions, in our one-to-one sessions. So I'm going to go through them, and if it works, Dana will show it to you on the screen. So basically, when a child comes in, we build rapport. Of course, we meet with the parents first. And we always ask for the parents' feedback, because sometimes the parent feedback aligns with the child's challenges, and sometimes we feel that it's their challenges, not their child's challenges. Okay? So we ask for both feedbacks. We take the feedback from parents, and we do a simple social assessment with the kid to see what his real challenges are. And if you were successful in building a rapport with him, you will get what you want from him. And it can show from the first 30 seconds with him if you were able to build rapport or no. Okay? So usually our sessions, after that, we propose for the parent the proposal that you just did, the skills that you just mentioned. We put it all in a proposal, and we send to parents, and we start with our first session. Now, each session covers 5 to 6 skills that we teach the kid. First, we introduce the skill. The concept of the skill, what does it mean? For example, if I'm talking about self-respect. Okay? So I started with self-respect. Usually we do start with the plane, because this plane, we use it in every program, because it's important for kids to know how their brain works. When they know, it motivates them that, oh, it's not only me who has limiting beliefs. All others have. I share my limiting belief with him. Okay? Because the more we are transparent with them, the more we take from them. But we need, of course, to be aware that we cannot share many things, because when you're so much open to your client, they lose trust. Okay? So we need to be considerate about how much we want to share with them. So we do the concept. When we feel that he got the concept, what's the main idea? We cut it and we go say a story. Either we read the story, either we listen to the story, or we use our words in telling the story. It also depends about the kid. If you feel the kid is active and he moves so much, he's not going to listen to the story. He's not going to read the story, definitely. So the best thing is to prepare it before and say it in your own words. So instead of spending 10, 15 minutes on the story, you can spend 3 minutes. Okay? The more flexible you are, the more creative you are, the better results you will have. Because we can't deal with all kids the same. Okay, so we introduce the skill, we read the story, okay, and then we give activities to support the story, okay, so the story and the concept. We're talking about self-respect. We do an activity to show what self-respect is, because the more he see and what self-respect is, the more he will understand it. Okay? Then we do some activities with them, the activities that we do, and then we revise the concept. So we say the concept, we read a story, we do the activity, we revise the concept, and finally, the 1 hour is done. We let him go and give him an activity to try during the week in school, in the house, with his relative, with his friends, anything. But there should be an activity to show us that he implemented what he learned. Okay? We need to stress a lot on the activity because if he does not do activities, he will not learn. Okay? If I learn about self-respect and he was taught that he needs to care first about himself, then care about others. And then he goes in that week and give his whole breakfast to his friend because his friend was hungry. Okay? And then he stayed hungry, but he gave his food to his friend. This is not self-respect. So you took care of your friend more than you. It doesn't mean that you do not help your friend, but you need to be considerate. You need to eat as well. Okay? So we give them an activity, and we tell them, if the activity is not done, just don't come next time. Because if he is not willing to invest, I can do that, Dana. Okay. Power off. Oh, yeah. So if he's not willing, now it will show here, if he's not willing to invest in the time, then he's not willing to change. When we took the life coaching training, and I'm sure Dan, Jumana and Dimitra knows, and he asked us, how much are you willing to invest in your money and time in becoming life coaches? If you're not willing to invest in your time, then you're not willing to change, right? It's the same as any skill that we learn in our life. If we learn it and don't practice it, it's not there, okay? So, this is what we do. I'm going to show you the paper. If you can pass it by Dimitra until the... Dana, can you show it to them from the laptop? Maybe it's clearer to see, because now there's an activity that's related to it, and maybe we can fix the... No? I don't know. Searching, yeah, maybe now. Maybe, hold on. Okay. I'll pass this paper. It's not clear because it's black and white, but anyways. So for the skills, I'm going to write them down on a piece of paper. The concept, the skill. I'm going to write them here. So when you do the coming activity, because you will need to see them. I will draw. I'm not a good artist, but I will draw. Okay? So this is a limiting belief. So the concept first. Story. Questioning. Activity. Revision. And implementation. Okay, so these are the 5 skills in a workshop, in a session, and this one, the implementation, it has to be done during the week between the 2 sessions. Okay, so concept, story, questioning, activity, revision, and implementation. Okay? Now, as I told you, the more flexible you are, the better. I know that some of you have some challenging kids. So with challenging kids, you need to be very creative about how you're going to do it. Okay? He's bored from the story, you can start asking questions. You can go back to the concept and back to the story. Or you can ask them, can you finish the story for me? What do you think he will do? And what do you think you will do? The more we put them in power, the more we will get from them. Okay? Now, the bullied child that you just prepared a program for him, a proposal for him, we want you now, in another activity, we want you to prepare a lesson plan, 1 lesson plan. For example, Amal, what did you write first? What skill will you? Respect, okay. If we ask you to prepare a lesson plan about respect using these highlights, how would you do it? Can you start? On your notebook, you can write, what will you start? You can use these stories. We get some stories for you so you can come and pick them up from here. Or Jumana, if you can put some. So you can write down, you can work in groups. by the way. So you can pick the partner next to you. You can do it Jenna and Jill. You can do it together. Prepare a lesson plan about respect. Okay, what will you do first? How will you introduce respect? What stories would you use, either from these stories or maybe stories that you have in mind? Or you can, if you want, you can search on your mobiles some stories about respect that target ages 8 to 12. Usually we work with 8 to 12 kids. Yeah. You can share stories. We will give you 10 minutes to finish the activity. 10 is okay, right?
Does it have to be about respect? I think you can pick anything that you're comfortable with. So it doesn't have to be about respect.
So if you want to be...
So if you want to write about what we talked about today, the belief system, you can do that. Or if
Anything.
you want to do it about social community or responsibility, you can do that.
Anything that works with you, it's okay.
But the thing is, you have to prepare it according to these.
What's the Wi-Fi password?
Um,
Is there a password?
Yes, there is. We didn't take it. We took it.
Horrible.
Has to be from,
This is nice too.
has to be from one of the stories. Or
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. We just brought these stories as a resource. But you can use any story. You can responsibility. What's it all about? You know, who's responsible? Who's not responsible? What's the difference? Do I have responsibility? Do you have responsibilities? Things like that. شوفي إذا بزبط هذا، أنا مش عارفة ليش ما بزبط.
Anything. Yeah, you can Google it.
If you feel like using the other rooms, you can move out. So if you feel like moving.
No excuses. Works best also with the self-responsibility, because kids with low, who they lack self-responsibility, they always blame and make excuses. So this would be a great
This is it. Okay, yeah. Of what?
خلاص
ما بعرف ليش ما زبط. I have no idea. Esther, it's here if you want. Okay. Empty. Choose. لا بس لما سألتها قالت مين كنت؟ سألتيني من حالها بتكون جيت قلت لها هلا انه يو كان يوز الريفريمينج مع ابنك كثير بزبط. جربت وما زبط. قلت لها
Did you use the questions that we Al-Mu'til had read? They work like magic. Don't force him, just ask questions.
Yeah, maybe if he's writing, someone has come and like he would be in trouble and
تتذكري اللي شفناه بالستاربكس؟ بعت لي فريند ريسبونس الزلمة هذا الكبير اللي So the same process. When you're working one-on-one, so you're taking care of the person's individual needs. But when you're working in a workshop, then you kind of it's actually easier because you kind of giving all the information out and people use it as they see fit. And then they kind of use it well. You know that they're using it well, or they understand it when they start doing the activities. So with the activities, they start understanding. Oh yeah, limiting beliefs. What are they? What are my? When they do the airplane, they. The paper plane, they write their limiting beliefs, they write their supportive beliefs, and then they start understanding.
They're very low levels, so not many of them can write. So I was trying to think in that way.
What class do you teach?
Very low ability, year 2.
Oh, year 2.
But majority of them wouldn't be able to write. So.
We have kids who don't write, and sometimes we write it for
That's what I
them.
was saying. Would we scribe? But then that's them opening up a lot more, isn't it?
Yeah.
If they're sort of saying it in front of a group, that's them opening up. So is it meant to be more of a...
The thing is, they don't even have to write it as long as they know it. Okay, so with a class like that, you don't have to ask them to write so many things. You can ask them to focus on one limiting belief that they have about themselves and work on that. Okay, so you don't have to go into details. So, for example, I am not smart. For example, some kids would use that, or I'm stupid, or things like that, or I'm angry child, or I move a lot, whatever, could it be? And they can write it.
I keep thinking again, it's like I had a boy in my class last year, and I thought we did this year, and last year, lovely, no issues, he just got on. This year, he's really angry, isn't he? To the point where he's like snapping pencils, and you can see in his face like this rage. And we're trying to get to the bottom of it, and we just can't work out what's going on. He's kicking chairs, he's refusing to do things. And it's such a change in his personality. And obviously I've spoken to the mum, and she can't justify what's happened, and we just have no idea what's changed, or if it is the new dynamics of the class, or what it is.
Well, usually kids try different strategies, and they stick with the one that works better for them. Okay, so if he tried the being nice and calm strategy and it didn't work, then he was going to go for a different strategy. And this is how they change, and the thing that worked best for them, because it could be a belief that they get from somewhere, like a role model. Their father, when he shouts and he's angry, for example, he gets what he wants, right? Or a brother, a sibling, an older brother, when he shouts and he gets what he wants. So they know that this works, so I better try it. Okay, so you just have to go back to where it's coming from, okay, and then you have to start working with them on the actual strategy and how they can use a different strategy, because this is inappropriate.
So as far as this is concerned, we've got a bit sidetracked and started talking about our class and the boys really.
But this is one of the skills that we help kids with is anger management. So we have a whole lesson on anger management that we go through. It's exactly set up like that. So you start with the concept. What is anger? When do we get angry? Why do we get angry? And sometimes we have sheets for them to fill out. Okay, so they with kids that don't like to write, it's good for them to draw. So we have like
social stories.
yeah. So we ask them, can you draw yourself when you're angry, right? And then they say, what happens to your hands? What happens to your head? What happens to your legs? And they start explaining to you that this is how I get angry. And then you tell them, how do you do angry? And they show you. They can act it. So you've covered one base. This is how they do it.
Yeah.
And then you go to the next one where, okay, this is how you do angry. Can you not do angry? Okay, when don't you do angry? Okay, and they say, I'm always angry. And I say, oh, are you angry when you're eating? Are you angry when you're sleeping? Are you angry? So you're kind of diluting the belief, right? You're kind of shaking it, right? And when they understand that, then you move to the next stage. Okay, so you're angry sometimes. Why are you angry sometimes? And then they give you the reason behind it, because someone doesn't do what I want them to do or something. Okay, so could there be another option to get what you want besides being angry? Okay, so now they're thinking outside the box. They come out and they're thinking outside. They start thinking about, okay, what can I do? And you say, sometimes you ask them, who else gets what they want without being angry? So it's not directed at them, yeah? So they can tell you that my sister does this and she gets what she wants.
So you're
Okay,
not
do you
from
think,
anybody.
so do you think it's a good idea to try that? So they think, oh, maybe I can try this and see. So it's all about them changing their perspective on things and diluting that belief that they have about
Would
themselves.
you have a story that would go with that? Like just thinking if there's something that I could access.
Anger management, I have to look through the library, but we usually do have a story that goes with anger management. Sometimes it doesn't even have to be a story, it can be a video, a YouTube video, you know. We use a lot the YouTube video for anger management about mindfulness, because it starts off with kids acting angry and showing how they look angry. Right? And then we use metaphors like the mountain, you know, or the iceberg, where the anger is on top, but underneath that there's all these different emotions. So they start understanding, because kids who get angry is about a lot more than just the anger. So there's a lot more emotions happening down, you know, at the bottom. And then they start understanding that maybe I'm not angry, maybe I'm embarrassed, and that's why I act like it. Or maybe I'm sad, or maybe I'm this, or maybe I'm that. So you get to the bottom of it.
No, thank you, that's helpful.
Yeah. Okay. What about you guys? Where are you? Yeah. Great.
When we relate the revision to the story to him, the more you make connections, the better it clicks here. So you read about
The question that you have for a
give or
story
read
is?
or say in your own words. The character in the story, for example, Amber. What did Amber do? How would you fix the problem if you were in Amber's place? So involve him in the story. The more you involve him in the story and in the concept, the better it is for him to grasp it.
Same to this one. Then the question is the same as
Yeah, that's okay. You can repeat it, because sometimes kids, you can then apply it to them. So you can say, how can the grasshopper do something with respect? And then you can say, how can you do that? Okay. So, you know, you kind of give them, help them to find the solution, and then because they know the answer now, they have the solution, then you bring it back to them. Yeah?
And the activity would be to look for reasons to pat himself on the back and say, you know, good job, I did it, and
Yeah.
because of the low self-esteem.
Yeah.
So the implementation would be to actually,
Yeah. Good job.
yeah,
Yeah. Good.
to reward yourself, you know,
Yeah.
to like
Exactly.
acknowledge the fact.
Exactly. Good. How would you explain self-confidence to them? How would you explain the concept of self-confidence to a child? Because this is how you
Depending on
start
little the
with.
child is, I mean, that's his superpower.
Yeah.
If it's a younger child, it's a superpower. If it's a teenager, it's something that'll get him through life, and it's something that he needs to have.
Then you ask like, what are your skills?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Because you will
It's-
say this is good. You're not gonna say no. This skill is not
Yeah,
good. So then
yeah.
you will encourage him. To
You can usually what we do with self-confidence is we explain to them what do successful people like if he likes football, like Ronaldo, have that another football player doesn't. Okay? And then they're like, he's a better football. Yeah, but why? Then they start thinking more. And this is when we introduce self-confidence. So we say that, okay, both of them play football really well, but why is he the top of the, football, very famous, where others aren't? Okay, and then you introduce that concept. Okay? So it has to come from something they like, something they enjoy.
That's why you do the assessment.
Yeah.
Okay, so because we don't want to keep you late, we're supposed to finish at 1, but we're going to take it 10 minutes further because we started late. So you dealt with 3 different challenges, I believe, right? Self-confidence, also low self-esteem. Jill and Rina, what did you choose?
We changed and went on to anger management.
Anger management. Wow. Would you like to start? How did you?
Haven't really got anything written
Do you
down
like-
as such. So the concept, it was mainly what we were chatting about with you. You sort of led us to our discussion. I have a boy in my class that I taught last year as well, and he was, lovely, very calm boy, very, tried his best. And this year he's just really, really angry to the point he's snapping pencils, kicking chairs, and we just can't work out what's changed and why he's like that. So that was the sort of, first step that we went through. So we were just saying the concept you would discuss, it's mainly what you were telling us, why are you or what is anger? Can you show it to us? What does it look like? And then what makes you feel angry? And then we didn't have a story that we would use, but again, we're looking at YouTube videos we're talking about. So that would also interest him because they all like the technology and things like that. So we'd go through that, and then from that would lead on to more questions about the underlying issues behind it. As far as activities go, we didn't get that far, to be honest. So we just, that's as far as we got, really, isn't it, to be honest? Sorry. But that was mainly what you fed to us, so thank you for your help.
We chose the low self-esteem, and we were just talking about the grasshopper that was in the story, and to explain to the child that you need to have more self-esteem for yourself. You need to reward yourself each time that you find something in your day that you've done well. So actually pat yourself on the back and say, you know what, I did it. Bravo, good job. So I do that with my kids all the time. I tell them to pat yourself on the back. So that's what we chose.
Thank you.
Maybe I will take it from here.
Who wants to talk?
Okay, we'll talk about self-confidence. Okay, I will start saying it's the key of successful, okay, for him. And when I feel that he doesn't have it or doesn't feel it, I'm going to remind him of a few incidents that happened, such as remember when your dean called you to welcome the new comer, the new student who felt lonely and alone, and you did a beautiful job, and then they assigned you as the ambassador of the newcomers. This is self-confidence. You know how to deal with this stuff. You've been, exactly, and because you were self-confident, you got it, you nailed it. So yeah, then I asked him about what is self-confidence, define it. Then I connected to a few incidents that he had, and I think what else? يلا هاد. I think we asked questions, and define the self-confidence. In my opinion, it's the best. It's the brick of life. Yani people, they can see it, and they can see what you want, and you can nail what you.
And it reflects your body language as well. A lot.
Yeah.
Self-confidence
Yeah.
means proper body
Yes.
I was coaching an 8-year-old the other day, and she said, and when we did the airplane and she put her limiting beliefs, nothing came out about her being shy. However, when we started the coaching sessions, one day she goes, "But I'm shy," right? So I wrote it down and I said to her, "How do you do shy?" Okay, and when you ask kids, "How do you do shy?" they kind of like, what? and this is something that you can always ask kids. How do you do anger? How do you do shy? How do you do low self-esteem? Or how do you do confidence? So it's always good to move them into a good place before you start working on sessions, working with them. Once you move them to that good place of high confidence, okay, then you start working with them to reach to that high confidence. Okay, so yeah, so I explained to her, for example, connection between, mind and body, and how if we think bad thoughts, then our body is weak, and if we think good thoughts, then our body is strong and confident. So yeah, you can.
And I'd like to share something happened to me. I think it's magical. I don't know what it is. I remember 10 years ago, and I was a regular housewife with 3 kids, and normal one. 2 degrees, all right. My husband used to tell me always, "Lubna, you have 2 majors, and you're staying at home." To the none of your business. I'd like to enjoy my kids. I want to see them growing in front of me, and I know my abilities. I know when I can do it. Okay. 10 years ago, my friend told me, "Lubna, come. There is a CIA lady studied that knowledge. I wanted to meet her." You know why? I don't know why. Just come meet her, and I think something will happen. And then I said, okay, I will go. When I went there, I told her, the minute she saw me, and she did few calculations, and she told me, "You know what? You're from the people who can think of something and make it happen immediately." I don't know what happened since then. I believed in myself. And honestly, I started to think, I'll make 40,000 GOD this year. And I made. I'm going to go to the Caribbean and Mexico. And I went. I'm going to send my daughter to study this abroad in a short time. And I did. Don't know what happened since then. Something magical happened. Wallahi, I'm saying this.
Yes, that's right.
Numbers next time. That's how
This is one of the skills that we teach kids, and they're very important. How to prepare their visualization board and write everything that they want to achieve. Okay, and read it before they go to bed and when they wake up. The more they believe in it, the more it will happen. So this is exactly what happened with you. With self-confidence also, as Dana said, it's good always to remind the kid with a situation that happened with him where he showed confidence. And remind him of that situation and tell him, you remember that situation? How did you feel in that situation? What did you tell yourself? How did you stand? How was the tone of voice in that situation? Okay, so the more you ask him questions about that specific situation that he shows self-confidence, you can see the change in his body language. He will stand, he will roll his back, he will look into the eyes. So the more you know examples about him showing his self-confidence, try to remind him with it and ask him questions related to it.
And if you're an NLP practitioner, then you can, anchor it as well.
It's like a wake-up call sometimes.
Yeah.
Maybe he knows he has it.
Of course.
Sometimes we need a nudge. We need somebody to tell us or to remind us of a specific incident or feeling or time, like what happened with Lubna. Okay. Dana will
so
finish
the
now.
the final bit in the base methodology that we use is execution and enforcement. So it's very important that the children take what they've learned home and they start practicing. It's not enough that they do it, you know, in the workshop and that's it. We always have to ask them to come back to us with examples of how they did something using that strategy that they've learned or using that skill, and what results did it give them. So it's very important. The other thing is regular follow-up. So when you're coaching kids, you really need to follow up with them. Just like adults, you have to go back and remind them of what they learned. With kids, it's even more important because they tend to forget. And that's why it's so important to go back and follow up either on a monthly basis or a bi-monthly basis, but regular follow-up is very important. The third thing that Rowan touched on previously is how we involve parents and teachers. It's very important to involve parents and teachers, because if you don't involve the parent, then you can have contradicting messages that you give to the child. The child comes to you and you tell them how wonderful, how powerful, how what high self-esteem they have, and then the parents go, and then they go to the family or the parents, and the parents gives them a contradicting message, and this is a real problem. So we usually try to involve the parents in the coaching process by explaining to them what we covered that day, by asking them to use moments where they can reinforce that learning with the children. That's very important. And finally, we're done. Congratulations. You just took your first step into becoming a kids life coach. This is amazing. I know it's a 3-hour workshop. It's short, so we kind of touched base on a lot of things. We didn't go into details. That's why we are preparing a certification program, and the certification program is going to take you in more details. We're going to cover what we covered today and much more. So we're going to go into details about how to tackle anger management, how to coach on self-esteem, how to help kids with confidence, self-talk, anger management, what else? Managing fears, anxieties. So we will go in detail in all of these things. We will provide you with lesson plans that you can actually use, okay, in the future when you start coaching kids. So the certification program is a 15-hour program. I'll just explain it to you very quickly. We haven't decided how we're going to do it, even though it's a 15-hour program. We could do it as sessions like this, like a 3-hour sessions, or we could do it in one lump sum, day or 2 days. It will cover many things, and I will just go through what it will cover. We will revise what we've learned today, and we will share knowledge, because if you're interested in the certification program, we expect that you go back now and you start practicing. Okay, so you start practicing what you've learned, even if it's only the simple, who's flying your plane lesson. So you start practicing that, you explain it to a child, you do 1 or 2 coaching sessions, either individually or a group session. I know you might not feel very comfortable with that, but it is, you have the skills to do it at this stage. Then we will talk about why become a life coach for kids. We will cover more neurology. So we will talk about the brain and how it works, the difference between an adult brain and a child's brain. So we will go into details in that. We will talk about how we face challenges with life skills. So any challenge like a page you have, any challenge that a child could have, we will face it, we will be able to manage it with a skill, okay? And then we will talk about supporting tools that we can use with kids, like NLP, like mindfulness, kinesiology. Maybe you will share that. And so we will go into more details of additional tools that we will use. And then there's an assessment, of course, that you will go through to be able to get your certification. And finally, we will talk about general parenting, and because you are also dealing with the parents, not just the child. So you have to know how to deal with the parents and what to give them, how to encourage them to implement what you've taught the child and what they've learned. And then you can start with your career as a kids coach. So congratulations for today, and we hope to see you soon.
Thank you for coming. We enjoyed your presence.
If it's possible, if you can fill up our feedback forms, that would be great. So I'll just pass it. And you can pass it through. Does anyone have any final questions on anything that we covered today or the certification program?
Actually, I want to ask about how long the session with the kids it will be. 45 minutes or less, half an hour?
Maximum 1 hour, not more than 1 hour.
With kids who do not like to sit for long times, 45 minutes would be ideal.
How much?
45.
Less than 45, you can't cover everything really. So 45 minimum, 1 hour maximum.
Yeah. And the most important thing is not to feel like you have to cover everything. If they walk away with one learning, then it's more than enough. It's sometimes as trainers, we feel like we have to give everything that we know. We have to, everything that we prepared, it has to be given to the children. But it's not like that. It's if they walk away with one thing, and you have to also be very flexible when you're dealing with kids, because sometimes they don't like the story. Or that day they're restless. They don't want to sit and listen to a story, even though you know that they like stories. So you have to quickly be able to change the lesson plan so you can accommodate the child's needs.
One of the things that can use also, and we do it, we use motivational songs for kids at the beginning of the session, especially with kids with low self-esteem or confidence, just to motivate them with the lyrics. So they read the lyrics and sing the song with it. So it can be added to the activities that we do with them as well.
You can go on your own, under ICANN. You can, if you like, you can go on your own and you start working on your own, or you can work with ICANN as an ICANN coach. Yeah.
For certification, do you know you are certified from someone?
We are Robert Simic certified, but we also have certification from an American company for kids coaching.
So I mean, when you remember Robert Simic, he has something in our certificate.
Yeah.
For this certification, you will have also some accreditation
We don't have, but the program that we're certified on does. Yes.
Lovely to meet you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Very nice meeting you. Bye. Very nice meeting you.
Let me give something to get my
Actually, nice to meet you.
Very nice meeting you. أهلا وسهلا. أهلا. Yeah. أهلا فيك.
For me, I achieved what
Yes. أهلا.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for coming. How did you find it? Did you enjoy it?
I was really excited about
Excellent.
this training.
Excellent. Okay. Are you thinking about the certification program?
Yeah, because I
You
found
like
a new job.
Yeah.
As you told me.
Yeah, you told
like
me.
you have to work, you find a job for less hours. Well, I have a job from 7 till 3. So
Oh, excellent. Oh, okay. So you're ready.
I was like, I want to push and see.
Yeah. Okay, great.
Expect an email from us,
Yeah.
and we will tell you when is the certification.
Okay, please.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye. Bye.
I think I only left 500 at
Yeah.
headquarters, right?
Yeah, so it's 250. هذيك طلعت بدون ما تدفع.
So what is the rest of the
250.
250.
230, sorry, 230.